So welcome along to A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. This is mainly taken from my Radio Bath show every Thursday morning from 10 until 12. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it to others and let everyone know all about Radio Bath. Hope you enjoy it. Joining us on Radio Bath today are musicians Russell Watson, known as The Voice, and Helen Jane Long, who has over 3 billion streams of her music. They're here today to chat about their new single and album that they have done together. Hello, how are you both?
Very good.
Very well, thank you.
Good. Now, you say you haven't tidied your house, Helen. So
well, not for what? Why not today or yesterday? Perhaps maybe not last week. I will soon. I've been a bit busy with an album, but I will. I promise I will.
Just not. And how is your house, Russell?
My house is fine, but can I just point out that Helen has now had 5 billion streams.
5 billion. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a minute about other bits and pieces, but 5 billion streams.
Mm.
Yeah. We live on a farm, and the only stream I have is the one at the bottom of the garden. It's a sad world, isn't it, Helen?
It is. Sad.
It's a good world, though.
It's a lovely world, especially at the moment. It is a very good world.
Now, back in the 80s and the 90s, obviously people got paid for when they had music. I don't know what the scenario is regarding having 5 billion streams, whether that makes you a billionaire or not.
I mean, it's no comment. It's a good world. It's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have. But I always find I'm always humbled by statements like that, because I truly didn't know until somebody pointed it out to me. And then you start going, right, okay, well, let me just count the zeros back. Oh, it is. But because I'm so into the writing, into the creativity, that I never stopped really to think about what the numbers were doing. And we've gone from a world of CD selling to suddenly streaming music and people listening in such a different way. So yeah, it's been very interesting and fun. But yeah, it's still, it's just mad.
So Russell, your numbers will be smaller, I'm guessing, the fact that you were commenting on it, but I'm guessing there's still a few.
Yeah, I mean, predominantly I've been a physical copy selling artist. So streams are something that I think up until recently were quite alien to me. I think it's one of those things where it's something that can be ascertained now because of the digital world. You can ascertain actually how much people listen to music and how often. But I'm sure if we, harken back to the early days where people were buying my CDs, if we could have figured out how many times actually someone was playing a specific track, it probably equate to quite a lot of times, or a specific album.
Huge. Yeah.
So I think now it's more, nominally you can add these numbers up, but back in the day it would have been impossible to do it. But we were kind of, we were working in a different era. At the turn of the century, we were reliant on cassette sales, CD sales. There's a whole host of mediums for selling music on. I think, that the changes in the industry, in my humble opinion, haven't necessarily all been good. And I think in many respects, when you think about the days of vinyl and how, buying an album, buying a record was almost like, it was a big event, that doesn't seem to exist anymore. And I think as a result, in some respects, music has lost a little bit of its value. And it's very seldom now that I think people listen to music singularly. So off an album, there's a favorite track that they maybe have on a playlist. And I think, we're missing out really on that journey that the old-fashioned albums, a body of work, 12, 13, 14 tracks used to give us.
Well, you're here today to talk about your new album, so I'm not sure who's going to tell us about it, but tell us about your new album.
Helen, over to you.
Oh, thanks. So our new album is called Try, and this is something that we've been working on last year. I heard about Russell's, knew about Russell, but it wasn't until about 2001 I was watching Star Trek Enterprise on the television and heard this voice, this incredible voice, and waited for the credits at the end, and it was Russell Watson. So fast forward another 24 years, and I was in a recording studio with my audio engineer talking about a song I'd written, how much I still love Russell's voice. And he said, oh, I'm seeing Russell at the weekend. We're working together. And then offered to introduce me to Russell. And that's how we started working together.
And what kind of style is the music then that you guys have done?
I would describe it as uplifting pop. It's using a style of Russell's voice which he's always had, but hasn't, I believe, been tapped into in the way that we have done with this album. So the whole album is about relationships. It's about life. It was written specifically for Russell. He's never had an album written for him. He's sung lots of things, but this was done with his voice in mind, our experiences of life, and that's really what's quite unusual and different about it.
So Russell, how did that feel having an album written for you then?
It's a completely different concept from the outset, when you know that something has been specifically written with you in mind, because we get sent songs all the time, but they've been written already, not necessarily with me in mind as an artist and a human being. So having something that I could literally get my teeth into in that respect was fantastic. And from the moment we we recorded at Abbey Road. So you don't need much inspiration to get the creative juices flowing when you're walking down the Hall of Fame and you can see the Beatles and Rolling Stones and David Bowie hanging on the wall. We got into the studio and it literally all just happened. And I think as well, the spirit in which the record was made was just brilliant. The whole process was wonderful.
Well, you two, when we first came on air, or just before we came on air, you two definitely get on very well together.
There's lots of joking and mimicry and silly things that go on in the background. And again, that's how it was with the making of the album. I think too many people take themselves too seriously, particularly in the music industry. It's yes, the music is serious. Yes, the content of the music, certainly some of it that we've recorded is serious, but you don't have to take life serious.
No, I mean, sorry, go on, Helen.
You've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy the process. You've got to enjoy the people you work with. And that's, I think, what we've done from the start is, we muck about with each other. We take the music recording seriously, but you still have fun along the way. And I think that's been the key for me. It's been my first collaboration with somebody and I've loved it.
So you've never collaborated with anyone else before?
No, I've always been, for years and years, I've written. It's been me, and then obviously I record and do big sessions and then bring in, arrange it all and bring the musicians in. But this is the first time I have worked with a singer.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what about the new single then? What's it called? Tell us all about it.
It's called Unremember. And Unremember, again, is we were talking about life. We were talking about things in life we've done, or your experiences, things in the past. And it's really sort of a light-hearted, nostalgic reflection on, relationships we've been in, things that have happened. And time moves on, and having that moment years and years later to be able to look back at it with a bit of humour, a bit more light-hearted at the time, could have been really sad or devastating. But looking back years on and being able to just to laugh at yourself or see that event in a different way.
Maybe even process things a little better.
Yeah.
With hindsight, looking back on certain things that have occurred in your life. But one of the things that we, there's certain messages that we didn't want to push, because I think with music, it's very much a subjective thing. And I think if you give too much information to people about what songs are about and what they represent, and that's not just within the context of, discussion, but also within the context of the video that represents it, I think it takes away that element of people being able to, place their own meaning and their own connection with music and with a certain song.
Now, I'm a dance teacher, as I mentioned earlier, and we have a basic principle that which is slightly cheesy, but I still quite like it. In that when we are dancing, is that there's neither one of you that is in charge. You are simply actors in the play, and the music is the director. And you simply follow whatever the music tells you to do. And as you say, everybody kind of listens to different parts of the music. They might hear a different part going here and there. So regarding the writing process, what are you hoping to get, how did you kind of get around the writing of it? What did you decide to bring in regarding the production of it as well?
I mean, Russell's voice helped completely explode what I was doing from the writing side. And he makes it very easy for me to start mapping out. We came with a small idea of the piano, very simple MIDI electronic demo. And then as soon as he started singing, he was like, I know I'm going to do with the strings or the gospel choir. It just, all the pieces kind of come together. And it's a slow process to start with, but that to me is how, it working together makes that song come to life. It's not just one person. You need the vocals, and between us, even the way Russell sang a word or did something, or even when he was changing or doing different things, like, do that again, what did you do? And then that's much better than how I had you singing. So it's having that flexibility between you both to adapt and change, not have a strict format, which is, this is the song and this is how it shall be. It's work in progress as you're creating it together.
So Russell, obviously you had input in how it all sounded as well then.
Well, it's strange because I don't really overthink what I'm doing until I actually get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, Shine, which was the first track that we started work on, which is the title track for the album. I walked into the studio and I sung the track before with Helen as a demo or just the piano track. So when I got in the studio and it was there in its entirety with strings and with choral section and with all the the whistles and bells attached to it, initially I had to listen to it a couple of times and give it a bit of thought, and then all of a sudden I started to sing and it just came out. And I think, if I'm being honest, I quite surprised myself with the way it initially
it was very funny.
Almost had a reggae lilt to it. And it's really come out quite well, but it wasn't something that I thought, I have to sing it this way. There was no direction from Helen. And to be honest with you, there was no real direction from me. I turned up and I sang the words, and it came out really, really well.
It felt right. And we knew as soon as he opened his mouth, the audio engineer and myself, we just looked at each other and went, where did that come from? It was just a moment of, and like you said, even Russell looked quite surprised at himself, but it was the perfect sound out of his voice. It was brilliant.
It simply fit, didn't it?
It did.
Well, we're going to have a little break for music. Needless to say, we're going to play Shine now. So we'll be back with Russell and Helen right after this.
Bath and West Wiltshire's Radio Bath.
Back now with Russell and Helen. We're talking all about their new album, Shine. It's time for some questions for them, though. Okay, so we're going to play a very quick game of High, Low, Buffalo. For those that don't know what that is, it's something that's high in your life, something that's low in your life, and then something which is interesting in your life. I believe Buffalo's the interesting part. So, Russell, we're going to start with you. High, low, Buffalo, it's all yours.
Hi, at the end of this week, I will be heading off to West Africa to jump aboard the Cunard ship Queen Anne, where I'll be spending 4 days in luxury. It's kind of a busman's holiday for me, and then we'll be finishing up in where we'll be Tenerife, and probably spend a couple of days in the sun there. So okay. That's my high.
And your low?
The British weather at the moment, it's gone really cold and I don't like the change in climate.
That's fair enough. And your buffalo?
My buffalo? What is my buffalo?
Something that's interesting or entertaining or amusing for you.
Oh, the constant, well, I wouldn't say it's interesting, but maybe slightly entertaining is watching the constant roadwork structure around the Cheshire East area, constantly moving around. And just when you think, have you ever seen The Truman Show?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? Well, it's a bit like that now where I live. So it doesn't matter, if you're coming out a specific time and you think, I better set off half an hour early. Yeah. So you set off half an hour early and you end up arriving at your destination 25 minutes early. But if you leave and you think you're leaving yourself enough time to get somewhere, inevitably you will end up half an hour late. Because the Truman Show kind of intervenes into life. So I'll drive down to the bottom of my road, and if I'm not in a rush, it's always clear. If I'm in a rush, there's a queue of 4,000 cars. There you go.
That is human life, isn't it?
It is indeed. I like to moan about these things.
That's all right.
I like to whinge about in life. When you open the door for somebody in a supermarket and let them walk through and they don't even acknowledge you. That's a good thing to moan about. The amount of potholes that there are in Cheshire East with the level of council tax that we pay. I like to moan about that. I generally like to moan. I'm from Moanchester, you know.
That doesn't mean you have to moan. So
yeah, but I like to.
You like to.
We
Fair
enjoy
enough.
it. We don't feel alive unless we're moaning about something.
Helen, hi, Buffalo. Follow that.
Well, I mean, obviously my high now has to be the fact that Russell's given me so much more ammunition to write some new songs about his moaning. I think that has to be the high of my day. No, the high is very, very creative at the moment. It's a lovely place to be. So that's my high, yes. My low, probably being so busy sometimes I feel like I'm not giving my children, my husband, enough time that they deserve. So it'd be nice to have some, and given it's Easter as well, I look forward to doing stuff with them. So that would be my low. Fun fact, I like cooking. I like making bread. Made a little bit of sourdough today. That's my fun fact. I like eating it.
Bread is good to eat. Now, a quick follow-up question for you, Russell. If you end up in Tenerife, are you going to Siam Park? And do you know what Siam Park is?
I've never heard of Siam Park, but now you've mentioned it. Is it any good?
So Siam Park is a giant water park.
Oh.
And when I say giant, you're in these big dinghies going down roller coasters, effectively.
Oh, mummy, yes, I'm going to go to Siam Park.
Siam Park is the reason I go to Tenerife.
Oh, wow.
Marvellous. Is it proper, though, or is it a bit like, plastic floaty dinghies? Oh. Is it proper?
Oh, it is. Some of the drops are 100 foot. It's proper scale. It's like being on a roller coaster but on water. So
wow.
So yeah,
that could be dangerous for me. I am quite accident prone.
Yeah, no, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
You sure?
It's all safe. My 9-year-old goes on these rides, but they are quite scary at times. The hardest part is walking up to the top.
But I think I'll be all right with that. I consider myself to be relatively fit for a man of advancing years.
Marvellous.
Right. Talking of being fit, then, here goes some unusual questions for you. So, yes. Helen, first question for you. Favourite part of a triathlon?
The favourite part of the triathlon is when you see the finish line at the end, I think has to be mine, where I've generally get quite reserved with my energy because I need to hold it back. And then when you see that final stretch, that I've probably got a little bit more energy than I should have at the end because I've held it back. So that's my favourite bit.
And if you had to choose one of the disciplines, which one would you choose?
Oh, that's changed. I would have said running years ago. Then I would have said swimming. I think it's cycling. I've got really into my cycling.
Okay, cycling. Good. Right. Do you have people that look after your social media? So I went onto your Facebook profiles and it says on there message. You can click message and it messages Helen Jane Long and Russell Watson. Do you have people that would answer that for you?
Me.
Either.
I like to speak to people. So if people contact me and they want to have a chat, because some of the messages people give are very, very personal about their lives or things that are going on, that I feel I want to be the one to be able to respond to people as me. Okay.
Russell's looking different.
I like to respond to people as me. But the thing is, I'm not just a singer. I also live on a working farm. So when you're putting a post on and sometimes you might get 300 or 400 replies, it's impossible to find the time to reply to people. So it's not out of ignorance. Sometimes it's just out of necessity or the availability of time. But I will tell you this, I do read the replies that I get. It's just that I can't reply to all of them. It's impossible.
I do a lot of apologising. As I said, it just takes you forever. So you have to say, I'm sorry, it might have taken quite a few weeks, but sometimes just that's the way it is, because you want to give them time and be able to actually read what somebody sent you.
Well, you mentioned in your low, Helen, one of the questions I was going to ask, and that is, how do you guys balance being normal people, which you are normal people, you just happen to have a famous side to you as well? So how do you balance that?
It's difficult just because it's only a certain amount of hours in a day. You can't do those things. But I think we both have a really good approach to it, which is, family comes first, friends come first. That is the unit that keeps you grounded and that makes everything else possible. If you didn't have that, then the other side to our lives, the more glamorous side, wouldn't happen. You couldn't have that. So for me, that's the priority each time. So I always feel a little bit juggling and balancing time. And I'm going to promise I'll take you to the cinema. We'll definitely go to the cinema. We'll definitely do this. So, and we grab that time, and they're very patient too. They're very patient. They have a lot of mum time, but I do feel sometimes that I feel guilty. I do.
What about yourself, Russell?
Well, it's different for me because I've done a lot of television, a lot of performance in the UK, and so I probably consider myself a recognised face, and it means that if I'm walking down the street, people will recognise me. For instance, when I go on this cruise, once people find out that I'm on board, it's going to be interesting moving around the ship. But it's something over time that I've come to accept. And actually, if I'm being honest, I think if it wasn't happening, I probably wouldn't be particularly happy about it. It's nice to get recognised. It's nice to have people coming over. Whenever somebody comes over and says, "Can I get a picture?" or "Can you do a video for my mum?" I'm always open to doing that. There's never really been any times where I'm not one of these people that says a flat no. But I think in general, with regards to workload, there was a period in my life between 2000, the turn of the century, and 2005, where literally I would say no to nothing. And I didn't just have a career in this country. I was number one in America, in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, Portugal, all over the world. And we were traveling to lots of different places. And it had got to the point where I was feeling that I couldn't say no to anything, because if I did, I'd be letting my foot off the proverbial gas. And then, of course, 2006, I became very ill. And that really, without going too deeply into detail, that really, with the 2 brain tumours, was the point in my life where I really began to reevaluate everything and decided that I needed a much better. One of the years, 2002, I literally slept in my own bed, I think once or twice. Yeah. And I needed to do something about that and reevaluate the entirety of my life, and the fact that I wanted to spend time with my family. I wanted to spend time with my loved ones, and more importantly, my children. And once I'd made that decision, everything that I was doing within the context of the music industry all of a sudden began to feel much more rewarding, because I was getting something back from it other than just the rewards from the music industry, which doesn't compensate, the lack of time I was spending with my family.
That's why now is nice, because what we've done together on this is it's an independent label. It's my record label. And, I was signed to a major label, and there was my dad was very sick and had open heart surgery. And like Russell, it's a turning point that you go, what am I doing? Where is the time best spent, and with whom? And so now this is released under BLE Records, which is an independent label. We've done it the way we wanted to do it, how we wanted. And if you want to do stuff, let's do this. We don't want to do it, we don't do it. And I think that's a game changer for me.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you're trying to balance it as best you can.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's always a difficult part.
The privilege
right.
is good.
I'm going to try and do these questions that you've never been asked before then. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Chesney Hawkes a couple of weeks ago, and I managed to find somebody that knew him, and I managed to ask him a question which half got broadcast. I couldn't broadcast it on Radio Bath, but it got broadcast on the podcast on YouTube, which was, what was the most interesting thing he's found in a dishwasher? I'll tell you the answer when we come off air. But for you guys, I couldn't find anybody that knew you. Okay, so I've gone for some random questions. Okay, so first of all, have you ever been asked this question? So if you were to dress up in a Halloween costume, what would you wear? So first of all, have you been asked that question before?
I think I was asked. You're not going to believe this, but remember the interview we did earlier, Helen, where where we were discussing, which I'd never been asked before, Halloween costumes.
And you've been asked that.
I'm not making this up.
No, that's okay.
I think I quite like the idea of a, full scale Batman outfit. I quite see myself as Batman.
Is it the tights that you like the thought of, or?
I don't think I'd wear tights. I think they'd be more like these really trendy rubber hardcore trousers with lots of, sort of spiky things coming out of the side. That's the kind of Batman I think I would be.
Okay, so you've been asked that question though. So
Yeah.
I failed on this one. Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. I've got a backup question, which I ask on my radio show every week. So whoever comes in, and let's see if you've been asked this question before. So do you hang your toilet roll over the top or behind the back?
Right, I've never been asked this question before, but this is very important. This is very, very important.
Go on then.
I hang it over the back. It's
Over the
pulled
back?
from, pulled from underneath.
Okay. Wow. What about yourself, Helen?
Well,
I've got to add something here.
Go on.
It's very, very important that toilet paper is never left hanging. There can be no sheets on display. So anybody that pulls a toilet roll and leaves one sheet visual is a fool. Anyone who leaves two sheets visual is an idiot. And anyone who leaves three sheets are disgusting. Don't ever talk to me again.
So if you went round to somebody else's house, would you amend their toilet roll?
I would, yes.
this is where my
would.
comes, which is when I was at Russell's house, I did flip it because we have it at the
Over
front.
top.
And
Yeah.
I thought this is a mistake. So I did flip round your toilet roll.
No, I have it. I have my toilet roll.
Didn't that day?
Dropping.
There is actually.
I have my toilet roll dropping down the back.
No, the front. It's at the front now.
Is it
Well,
at the front?
there is actually a patent about which way round it should be.
And which way should it be?
Well, officially, according to the patent, it should be over the top, like a waterfall.
Yeah, I just presumed it was a difference between left-handed people and right-handed people reaching for it, you see. That's what I thought.
The official part is that there are three reasons why you should have your toilet paper hanging around the back. Okay. One is children, because they might do that. The other one is animals. And the third one is if you're called Russell Watson. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm more of a pull down than a pull over.
Fair enough.
But then you
Anyone over the
can't
top,
make that triangle, can you? You can't make a little pretty pointy bit that they do when you go to hotels. Just
I
let you know.
really don't care about triangles when I'm on the toilet.
Do you not? No,
Not
you
really.
consider that.
No.
you have to unfold it.
No, it's just you pull it.
So,
See, this is a whole new conversation.
well,
Yeah, I'm starting to feel quite irate about this now. I'm feeling like I'm sort of on my own with this now.
Yeah,
you're not on your own. You're just not normal.
and it should be the nice smelling coconut toilet roll as well.
Okay.
I like being not normal.
You
Do you
do
know
that.
what? Nobody is normal.
Yeah, what is normal?
Yeah.
What is normal? What is the new normal?
Who knows? I'm aware my time has run out. So remind everybody about the album and the tour you've got coming up as well, Russell.
Well, we've got the new album Shine, title track being Shine, the new single Unremember, which is out now. I've got my 25th anniversary tour, which is sort of progressing throughout the year, but the main body of it is between October and November with AEG Promotions. Tickets are available on russellwatson.com. That's 2 S's, 2 L's.
You've said that a couple of times, haven't you?
I have.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a blast, so thank you so much. And I'm glad I finally got a question that you hadn't been asked before. So
Thank you.
I'm very pleased about that, and thank you for your answers on that.
Yeah, good luck with all your dancing.
Thank you very much. I'm off to go and do it now. So
Enjoy.
thank you all so much.
Bye then.
Thanks, Richard. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.